When I lost my job, my husband said he'd support us. I spent months cooking, cleaning, watching his kids from a previous marriage. One afternoon, I walked into our bedroom and heard him on the phone. "She's just convenient until the divorce is final. Then she's out." He turned pale when he saw me standing there. That night I packed my things, but not before leaving something in his safe he'd never expect. I didn't plan to destroy a man's life when I married him. I didn't even plan on getting married again after the mess of my first divorce. But I'm the kind of person who gives people the benefit of the doubt, even when I probably shouldn't. It started almost 2.5 years ago. I met Mark at a work event in Jacksonville. He sold insurance. I was working as an office manager at a construction company. We hit it off fast. He had this calm way of talking, like nothing ever rattled him. I guess I mistook that for being trustworthy. He told me up front he was divorced with 2 kids. Said the mom had taken off years ago, no contact, no support. I believed him. Why wouldn't I? I was 37, no kids of my own, and I guess part of me thought maybe this was my second chance at having a family. He invited me over for dinner one night, and his daughter Rachel helped set the table. His son Cody showed me his drawings. They were sweet kids. I liked them right away. Mark and I got serious pretty quickly. I moved in after 6 months. We got married at the courthouse. No big celebration. Just paperwork and a few photos. The plan was simple. I'd keep working, he'd keep working, and we'd build a life together. The kids seemed happy. I was adjusting. I thought it was going well. Then I lost my job. They called me into the office on a Monday morning and said they were downsizing. I had 10 minutes to clear my desk. I sat in my car afterward, staring at the steering wheel, trying not to cry. When I told Mark, he hugged me and said not to worry. He said he made enough to cover things, and I could stay home with the kids until I figured things out. It felt like a relief. Like we were really a team. For the next few months, I did everything I could to earn my keep. I got up at 6:30 every day, made breakfast, packed lunches, drove the kids to school, came home, cleaned, did laundry, sorted bills, went grocery shopping. I made dinner every night, cleaned up after, helped the kids with homework, made sure they got to bed on time. I even kept a binder of school papers, schedules, and medical records. Mark would come home, eat, and usually disappear into the bedroom or garage. I tried to talk to him some nights. He always said he was tired. We stopped being intimate. I'd touch his arm and he'd shrug it off. I asked if something was wrong, and he said no, just work stress. I didn't push. I thought maybe he was going through a rough patch. I was trying to be understanding. But it kept going. He'd stay late at work more and more. Weekends he'd suddenly have errands. He never asked about my job search, and when I brought it up, he brushed it off. "We're fine," he said. "You're doing enough here." Then one afternoon, everything changed. It was a Thursday, early March. I had just gotten back from Walmart. The kids were at school. When I pulled into the driveway, I noticed Mark's car was already there. That was weird. He never came home before 5. I came in quietly because I thought maybe he was napping. The house was silent. I went to put the groceries in the kitchen when I heard his voice. It was coming from the bedroom. I stopped. I don't know why. Something about his tone. It was too casual, too cold. I walked toward the bedroom, quietly. The door was half open. He was standing by the window, phone to his ear. I heard him say, "She's just convenient until the divorce is final. Then she's out." I couldn't breathe. I stood frozen just outside the doorway. He laughed. "No, seriously. She watches the kids, cooks, cleans, it's like free labor. But no, I'm not keeping her. She's not part of the long-term plan." I opened the door wider. He turned and saw me. We locked eyes. His face turned white. He started to stammer. It's not what you think." I didn't say a word. I dropped the grocery bags right there on the floor. Walked out. My hands were shaking. I went straight to the guest bathroom and locked the door. I sat on the toilet lid and tried not to cry too loud. After maybe 10 minutes, he knocked softly. "Can we talk?" I didn't answer. That night, after the kids were asleep, I told him I'd be leaving. He tried to play dumb at first, said I misunderstood. Then he admitted he'd been planning a divorce, but said he wasn't sure yet. I told him I wasn't waiting around to be discarded like garbage. I packed my things into 2 suitcases. But I didn't just leave. Mark had a safe in the closet. Old dial lock. I'd seen him open it dozens of times. He kept all the usual stuff in there: birth certificates, the house deed, some cash, and a manila envelope labeled custody. Months before, When I was organizing some files for the kids' school stuff, I had peeked inside that envelope. What I found didn't match what Mark had told me. He always said his ex was unstable and had walked out on the kids. But in those court papers, there were records of her trying to reach out. Letters. Voicemails. One even said she tried to visit and Mark never let her in. The story he told everyone was a lie. I hadn't said anything before because I thought maybe he was just trying to protect the kids. I thought maybe there was more to it. Now I knew the truth. Mark didn't care about protecting anyone. He just wanted control. So I made copies. I also had screenshots. He'd left his laptop open more than once. I'd seen his messages with some woman named Brianna. Nothing too graphic, but enough to show he'd been seeing her behind my back. I printed those too. I put everything in a big manila envelope. Added a note. You might want to reopen the custody case. Here's why. I mailed it to his ex-wife. Found her address through a mutual contact who still talked to her sister. Then I went to the safe. I left my wedding ring inside, along with a second note. It said, "You should have respected the woman raising your kids. You'll need a lawyer." Then I left. Stayed at my sister's place in Gainesville. Told the kids goodbye before school, said I was going to visit family. I didn't tell them the truth, it wasn't their fault. A week later, Mark started calling. First to ask where I went. Then to beg me to talk. Then to accuse me of sabotaging his life. I never answered. 2 weeks after that, his ex reopened the custody case. She had a lawyer. She had documents. He wasn't ready for that. I watched from a distance as his life started to fall apart. But the story wasn't over. Not even close. After everything I'd done, I figured I'd feel better right away. I didn't. I couldn't sleep the first few nights in Gainesville. Even with my sister being sweet and making space for me in her guest room, I just lay there staring at the ceiling, thinking about the kids. Rachel and Cody. They didn't deserve this mess. I missed them more than I missed Mark. About 10 days after I left, my phone buzzed while I was sitting on the back porch. It was a number I didn't recognize, but I answered it anyway. "Is this Dana?" the voice asked. I froze. No one had called me by my maiden name in years. "This is Kimberly. Mark's ex-wife." She sounded calm, not angry. Just tired. Like someone who had been holding their breath for years. I swallowed hard. "Yeah. This is Dana." "I got your envelope," she said. "Thank you. You didn't have to do that." I didn't know what to say, so I just said the truth. "I didn't do it for you. I did it for the kids." I didn't know how bad it really was until I lived with him. She paused. I figured. I've been trying to get custody back for years. Every time I sent something, he blocked me or said I was dangerous. My lawyer didn't believe me until I showed him your copies. That hit me harder than I expected. "I don't want to make things worse for the kids," I said. "If this mess hurts them." Kimberly cut me off gently. "No. You helped. You did more for them than anyone else ever has. I just wanted you to know I'm going to fight this. And I won't forget what you did." We hung up after a few more minutes. I sat there, shaking. For the first time since I left, I felt something like peace. But Mark wasn't done. That night I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. "You think this is over?" "You messed with the wrong person." I stared at it for a long time. I knew it was him. He wouldn't call. He'd send threats like a coward. Then the real problem started. The next morning, I went out to my car to drive to a job interview. The front windshield was cracked straight through. Looked like someone hit it with a crowbar. Nothing was stolen. Just smashed. I called the police. Filed a report. The officer asked if I had enemies. I gave them Mark's name. 2 days later, my sister's mailbox was pulled out of the ground and tossed into the front yard. No proof it was him, but it didn't feel like a coincidence. My sister said I should stay with a friend in Tallahassee. Somewhere he wouldn't think to look. So I moved again. Stayed with my college roommate, Lisa. She had a guest room and a fierce attitude. She wasn't scared of anyone. "This guy's unraveling," she said after I told her everything. "Keep records of everything. Every text. Every weird thing that happens." So I did. 3 weeks later, Mark filed a complaint against me in small claims court. Said I'd stolen confidential documents and caused intentional emotional harm. I showed up with a folder full of screenshots, receipts, and a letter from Kimberly's lawyer. The judge dismissed the case before Mark could finish his fake crying. I thought maybe that would shut him down. But then Brianna showed up. She messaged me on Facebook one afternoon, out of nowhere. "I'm sorry. I didn't know he was married. He told me you were his housekeeper. That one hurt. I'd cooked every meal. Cleaned every room. Tucked his kids into bed like they were my own. And he told her I was the maid. Brianna said he promised her he was getting a divorce, soon, and even showed her a fake document. She sent me a photo of it. It was clearly forged. I asked her if she'd be willing to say anything in court. She said she'd think about it. 2 days later, she blocked me. I figured he scared her off. Probably threatened her like he tried with me. Meanwhile, Kimberly's custody case was moving fast. She now had evidence that he lied in court, blocked contact, and possibly forged a document. The judge took it seriously. Real seriously. Mark started missing work. Then I heard through an old coworker of his that he got suspended, something about ethics complaints and domestic issues, spilling over into the office. By then, I was back on my feet. Found a job as a leasing assistant at an apartment complex. Small place, good people, steady hours. Lisa let me stay until I got my own little one-bedroom unit. I blocked Mark's number. Changed my email. Set every account to private. But part of me kept waiting for the next twist. Because Mark wasn't the type to lose quietly. And I wasn't done watching his lies unravel. A few months passed. I was settling into my new job in Tallahassee. It wasn't glamorous, but it was stable, and I liked the people I worked with. For the first time in years, I didn't have to walk on eggshells around someone. I had my own place, my own income, and a little peace. But it didn't last long. It was late August when I got an email from Rachel, Mark's daughter. I froze when I saw her name in the inbox. She must have found my address from one of the school forms I'd filled out. I debated whether to open it. I couldn't not. Subject: I miss you. The body of the message was short, just a few lines. Dad told us you left because you didn't love us. I don't believe him. I saw you crying that night. Cody asks about you every day. If you don't want to write back, I understand. I just wanted to say thank you for taking care of us. I broke down crying right there at my desk. That email cracked something in me. I didn't respond right away. I sat on it for days. I wasn't sure what the right thing was. I didn't want to confuse the kids more. I didn't want to get dragged into some emotional war Mark would twist around. But I couldn't stay silent either. So I wrote her back. I never stopped caring about you or Cody. I left because I had to, not because I wanted to. None of this was your fault. I'm proud of you for writing me. Please know I'm thinking about you both. I didn't get a reply for weeks. Then one afternoon, I got a call from Kimberly. You're not going to believe this, she said. She sounded different, sharper, stronger. Mark just tried to file an emergency motion to block me from having contact with the kids. I blinked. What? His reasoning? She said, voice thick with sarcasm. He says you and I are conspiring to poison the children against him. I laughed out loud, but it wasn't funny. That man's spiraling, she said. The judge is starting to see through it. He tried to paint himself as this poor father, but now he looks like a control freak. Then she paused. I think he's losing it, Dana. The kids are scared of him now. Rachel told her school counselor that he screams at the walls when he's alone. Cody's been wetting the bed again. My stomach turned. Do you want me to talk to someone? I asked. I could, no, she said. You've done enough. Honestly, more than I ever expected. But I wanted to give you a heads up. Turns out, that wasn't the only reason she called. She had found something else in the custody documents. A bank account Mark had never disclosed during the divorce. A shared account with his brother, hidden under a business name that never actually existed. And that account? It had over $40,000 in it. I think he's been hiding income for years, Kimberly said. Alimony avoidance. Tax fraud. Possibly both. My mouth went dry. Are you going to report him? She hesitated. Not yet. I want to make sure it hits him all at once. When he's weakest. We hung up. A few days later, I got another email from Rachel. She sent a drawing Cody had made, a stick figure woman with brown hair standing between two smaller stick kids. Above it, Cody had written, Dana is our family. I cried again. But something else hit me while I looked at it. This wasn't over. It wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about those kids. About truth. About undoing the damage he'd caused for years, not just to me, but to everyone around him. And I wasn't going to walk away now. A storm was coming for Mark. And I planned to be standing on the other side of it when everything came crashing down. About a month after Rachel sent Cody's drawing, I was called to testify. Kimberly's custody case had made it to a full hearing. Her lawyer subpoenaed me. I wasn't surprised. He'd already asked for my written statement, copies of the messages, and the documents I found in the safe. I had no problem showing up in person. Mark didn't know I was coming. When I walked into that courtroom in Jacksonville, his face dropped. He looked older. His hair was thinner, his eyes red. He had lost weight. I barely recognized him. He looked like a man trying to keep his life from slipping through his fingers, and failing. Kimberly sat a few rows back with her lawyer. She gave me a quiet nod. The kids weren't there. When I took the stand, I told the truth. I talked about how I met Mark, how he lied about his ex abandoning the kids, how he used me as free labor, and how I heard him call me, just convenient, the day I left. I showed the judge the evidence I had, the custody documents, the texts, even the fake divorce paper he gave Brianna. I said something that made the courtroom go quiet. I wasn't his wife. I was his cover story. Mark shifted in his chair like he was going to bolt. His lawyer tried to shake me, but it didn't work. I didn't flinch. I had nothing to hide. After I stepped down, Kimberly gave her testimony. Then the school counselor spoke. Then a teacher. Even the neighbor next door, who said she'd heard yelling almost every night. When the judge made his ruling, she didn't even look at Mark. She granted Kimberly full physical and legal custody. Mark would get supervised visits only, pending psychological evaluation and compliance with court-ordered therapy. Then came the part he didn't expect. Kimberly's lawyer handed the judge documents showing the hidden bank account. Fraudulent tax returns. Proof that Mark had hidden tens of thousands in income to avoid support payments. The courtroom got quiet again. The judge ordered a criminal investigation and froze the account immediately. Mark lost it. He stood up and started shouting, accusing everyone of lying, saying I'd set him up. The bailiff had to escort him out. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I just stood there with my hands folded. The storm had hit. And he was drowning in it. But it wasn't over. A month later, I got a call from Brianna. I want to help, she said. He showed up at my job screaming. He's unwell. If there's a case, I want to testify. I gave her Kimberly's lawyer's number. That was the final nail. With Brianna's testimony and new evidence from the accountant Kimberly hired, the DA opened a formal case against Mark. He was charged with tax fraud, perjury, and submitting falsified documents in a custody case. He took a plea deal, 2 years probation, heavy fines, and 6 months in county jail. He lost his insurance license. He's not allowed to work in finance again. He also had to sell the house to pay legal fees. The home he bragged about. Gone. Bought by a young couple who gutted it and painted the walls bright yellow. The kids are doing better now. Kimberly sends me updates sometimes. Rachel started therapy and joined a soccer team. Cody's in art class. They're healing. Last month, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. But I knew the handwriting. It was from Rachel. Inside was a new drawing. Same 3 stick figures, only this time, she added a dog. Underneath, she wrote, "Come visit us. We miss you." I did visit. Just for the weekend. When I pulled into their driveway, Cody ran outside first and hugged me so hard I nearly lost my balance. Rachel stood behind him, smiling, a little taller, holding her mom's hand. Mark is gone from their lives. He hasn't reached out again. The court ordered no contact. As for me, I'm still in Tallahassee. Still working. Still living quiet. I'm not proud of everything I did. I'm not innocent in all this. I let myself be blind for too long. I ignored signs. I stayed silent when I should have spoken up. But I finally did the right thing. I didn't just leave. I made sure the damage he caused didn't spread any further. Mark thought I was just a phase. Just convenient. But I became the reason he lost everything. Not out of hate. Out of justice. Out of love, for the kids, for myself, for the truth. He lied. He manipulated. He broke people. And in the end, it all came back to him. Hard.